This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. Very excited to be speaking with Nick Clifford about One More Shot. How are you, Nick?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Can you tell me about some of your favorite time loop movies or stories?
Oh, movies. Absolutely. I've kind of watched them all. Obviously, Groundhog Day is a bit of a classic. I remember watching Edge of Tomorrow at IMAX and really enjoying. I went and watched it with an editor friend of mine. And I remember when we walked out of the cinema, we were both just like, yeah, that's how you edit a time travel movie. It was just so punchy and fun. Um, I reckon those two. I've seen everything from like Russian Doll, Palm Springs. I've watched them all, and they're all great. It's a really fun little mechanic.
This strikes me, I think, tonally a little bit like Palm Springs. What I like most about it is that a lot of time people get stuck in a time loop. They're like, why is this happening? Let me get out of it. And that's not at all what happens here. It's like, no, I have one thing I want to accomplish and I'm going to do it. And that felt pretty unique to me in a, like, feel like people who like time loop movies, whatever, like, it's great. It's great that we've seen it before. It's great that it's a little familiar. And I like that that was a new little twist on it.
Yeah, that was really important that it did have a point of difference, and I'm glad you noticed that. Honestly, it was something really cool about this concept that the power was essentially in Minnie's hands, in our characters' hands. Which is a complete 180 from most time travel movies where they're desperately trying to escape it. For us, she had the power, and also a limited number of chances to use it. And without spoiling it, I like how the film deals with that reality for her as well as a character when she has this moment of realization that maybe she hasn't used it in the most responsible way.
I know that you did not write the script, but I'm curious at what point you came on board and whether you had any input into the existing script.
Oh, absolutely. So my company optioned a script a few years ago, and we went through a development process with the initial writer, and then we brought on another writing team, Alice and Greg. And yeah, we're all very hands on. Like, I love development. I love sitting in the room and talking about it and bringing ideas and just questioning things and digging deeper on the characters. So yeah, it was there through the whole process. It was quite enjoyable, even if it takes a while. I think that's just part of it, and then that continues with the actors, and we keep talking, we keep digging, and then with the editor and the producers, and through all the test screenings and everything. I think it's a never-ending process, that one of development.
Well, I assume that the script gives you most of the rules of time travel in this interpretation of it, not time travel, time loops rather. And the most challenging thing I would imagine for you as a director is making sure that each scene looks the same without quite looking the same.
Yeah, that we got some really great feedback after our initial test screenings, where the audience were all super positive about the fact that, oh, we're in this doorway, but it never quite feels like, I never get bored of it. It doesn't feel like we're repeating, but we're repeating. So I wanted to just make sure you never got lost in the story. So comprehension was important. And then after that, it was about tapping into Minnie's kind of emotional state or her trajectory. So we have, a musical cue that keeps reminding you where you are. But then from there, it was just about coming at it from where Minnie was, trying to freshen it up each time, but never making you ask, "Wait, what? Where are we?" So if I've achieved that's great.
And I feel like the setting, the turn of the millennium is adds another sort of piece to it, especially after having seen Y2K at South by Southwest last year. Just an interesting thing that we're like far enough away from that time that it feels like the distant past, even though it really wasn't that long ago, but we didn't know what to expect at that point.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember when that film came out, we were like, still shoot. I can't remember, but it was top. I was checking it out for that exact reason. For us, I think that Y2K theme was such an interesting thing to not make it about that, but just kind of like push each character through that lens of, when we wake up tomorrow, everything could have changed. The whole world could come to an end. There was a great big fear. After COVID and all that stuff, it was kind of interesting to sort of tap into that fear and how each character approached it differently. And some characters were really terrified of it, others didn't believe it. Yeah, it was fun to just kind of use that as this cloud hanging over our story world a little bit.
And I feel like it also works so well because of Emily Browning. She has a certain just way about her that you want to root for her, but you also don't feel like she's made a lot of great choices. And like, I don't know how much of this is her fault or something she deserves, but I feel like even she sort of knows that. Like she doesn't think she's a better person or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Em. I think she really did a wonderful job in this film. She had the pressure of like she's in every shot, every scene. It's her, just the whole journey, and that's a lot. Like she's on set all day. There's not many places to hide when you're playing a character that is just in every beat of the story. And I kind of that was my approach to it as well, was to sort of just make it all about Minnie. And then step outside into the other characters' worlds, as we relive the loops to kind of learn a little more about them. So she had a really hard task, but did a wonderful job and brought, I think, just the exact attitude of that character, Minnie. I think she's obviously intelligent, but just incredibly flawed. And we all know people like that who are really smart, but still do things that you're like, why would you do that? And I think she brought truth to it all, which was really important to me. That Minnie was never like a caricature. It's a real person going through something, and I think she captured it really, really well.
One of my favorite things also about watching any sort of international cinema, but Australian cinema in particular, is figuring out like, oh, that actor is actually Australian. I definitely thought they weren't. And I don't know if you can guess who I'm going to say here under that bill.
Is it Ash?
It is Ashley
Yeah, yeah,
Zuckerman, somebody who
yeah.
I, seen, and I guess I've never like watched an interview, but just enough that, you know, I feel like this is a kind of role he always plays, where it's always like you sort of think he's charming, but then you get to know him like longer, and it's like not so much.
Oh, it's cool. I'm a huge fan of all the cast. Like I love them all. And Ash is such a great actor. Like it's funny. I think he does. He comes to these roles and just nails them. And I really wanted him for this specifically that role, to bring the dimension to that character that where he gets to in the film. And I need someone like that can really bring Rodney, that character, home. He's a wonderful actor. I'm not surprised. We export so many actors from Australia. Yeah, it's quite funny. Is that so? That would have probably been the first time you've seen him with an Australian accent, then.
I think so. The
Yeah,
Lawson brothers are the other ones where it's tricky. Them, you see them every
yeah,
once in a while in their native tongues, and otherwise you're like, these guys are Native Americans. What are we talking? Not native.
yeah.
Native to America. So, well, I will say after seeing Y2K last year, and I think Self Reliance maybe 2 years ago, I feel like this film, unlike some, I've already started looking at some of South by Southwest stuff this year, and some of it like it's great, but I'm not sure it's the right fit as much that I would have thought of. This feels like a South by Southwest film, like as a great place for it to premiere. How are you feeling about that right now?
It's so funny you say that. When we were sort of talking about where we might, where this film might go afterwards, I just kept saying, it just feels like a South by movie. Like I don't know why, it just feels like a South by movie. And I've never been to Texas or South by, so I'm really keen to. The festival looks amazing. I've been sort of picking through the schedule and the people and just setting up some meetings and stuff like that. And it's almost overwhelming. There's so much going on and so much to do. It looks really well run, and I'm really excited to bring, a film to that festival and contribute to it in some way. And I'm keen to see what the American audience will think of it.
I think they will enjoy it.
I hope so.
What's the plan after South by?
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of other stuff I'm working on. As soon as I get back, I'll be doing a sort of polished draft on what will hopefully be my next project. So I'll just keep chasing the dream. It's yeah, I'll just keep moving forward.
And is this film going to be released in Australia? Do you have, or is this still seeking a distributor? What's the story there?
Yeah, so no, it's all sewn up for Australia, New Zealand. We have our a premiere here later in the year around the Melbourne International Film Festival, and there's a streamer here called Stan who are a really big part of it, and Madman Entertainment, and the Melbourne International Film Festival. We hopefully all coming together for a nice big party here and get the cast in and just make it a big fun night. And I imagine have a couple of tequilas.
That's great. Well, as you're looking forward to your first South by, do you have other films or projects on, that you're keen to catch while you're there?
Yeah, I've been going through the schedule, and um, my schedule looks like there's a couple of days in there where I'll have an opportunity to venture out. The when we did our induction, the advice was to basically pick one thing a day, try get to that, and then be willing to blow in the wind. So I'm going to kind of do it that way and have a film to aim at each day, and then just go with the flow. I've got some friends with film screening, and there's some great other ones that look amazing, and I'll hopefully get be able to get a seat and check them out. But it's a big fun week. It's lots to see and do.
As someone who is disappointed when I can't see 4 movies a day at South by and 5 at most other festivals, I wish you a more relaxing experience than I will have, but an equally satisfying one. I think you have the right attitude. So
Yeah, I
it's
appreciate that.
but it's very nice to meet you, Nick. I wish you plenty of luck, and I hope this will be warmly embraced by Americans, Australians, and everyone alike.
Thank you so much, Abe. It was good to meet you.